Hi guys, it's Mrs. Millison. Okay, today we're going to learn about random sampling. Okay, some of the ways we're going to talk about are pulling names out of a hat, using a random digit table, and using a random number generator, specifically our calculator. Okay, we have a population of students. I have a list of students, and we want a sample of 12 students. Okay, first of all, let's talk about pulling names out of a hat. This is something we used to do a long time ago. You know, when you were a little kid and you were going to play a game, you wanted to randomly pick somebody. Playing tag, you want to randomly select somebody to be it. You read everybody's name on a piece of paper, threw it in a hat or a bowl, mixed it up, and grabbed the piece of paper out, and that person was it. Okay, so that's like your most basic way of randomly selecting somebody. Okay, we don't do that in the professional world. Okay, before computers, we used to use random digit tables. Okay, and a random digit table is just a table with random numbers, rows and rows of random numbers. Okay, and we will use this in a second. Now that computers are around, we use random number generators in computers, okay? And the one we're going to use is in your calculator, okay? You still got to learn how to do a random digit table because that'll be on the AP test, because that way they can control what your random numbers are. They can control what the results are, so they can check to make sure you can select it. If you just use your calculator, they have no way of knowing that, whether you did it correctly or not. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do, we're going to talk about 3 different random sampling methods: SRS, Stratifying, Cluster. So the first thing we're going to do is SRS, Simple Random Sample. Okay, Simple Random Sample is defined as a sample where every group of a specific size has the same chance of being selected. Okay, so what we do is we number each of our individuals, we determine our sample size, we select our sample size from the numbered values, and we write them down, then we identify the sample from the numbered. So what I have here is a list of students. Okay, these are actually Academy Award winners. Okay, I just got off the internet. And I assign them to a grade in a hallway. But I have, let's see, big list of about 162 students. Okay, 162 people. So from this 162, we want to select our sample size of 12. So we're going to use the calculator first. Okay. So what I number each student. I have already numbered each student from 1 to 90s, 100s, 1 to 162. Okay, so I numbered them from 1 to 162. So that's the first part. We're going to determine our sample size. Our sample size is 12. We're going to select our numbers. So in the calculator, we're going to run let's see, math, hit math, go over to probability, and then go down to random int. And we are going to go from 1 to 162, and we're going to select 12. Okay, so let me write this down. The important thing here is I have to ignore repeats. Okay, so if number 20 comes up twice, I don't want that 20th person twice. Okay, so now I'm going to record my numbers. 159. Trying to keep an eye. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Trying to keep an eye for any duplicates. I hit my scroll. Okay, it doesn't look like I had any duplicates. Okay, so I've got my random numbers. So now I got to go back to my list and figure out who these people are. Okay, so I'm going to try to start with my low numbers. So let's see. Number 3 is Alec Guinness. Number 5. Number 9. 20. 45. Okay, all I'm doing is looking on my list here. So there was 45, Gene Hackman, 46. Gotta turn over, 46 is Jeffrey Rush. 150 is Ginger Rogers. 69 is Jamie Foxx. 118. 118 is Nicolas Cage. 139, Roberto Benigni. I didn't spell that right. Sorry. 158 and 159. 158 is Wallace Berry, 159 is Warner Baxter. And then Warner Baxter. Okay, so now I've recorded the numbers, I've identified my samples, so these 12 people will be my first sample of 12 using an SRS, okay, and using the calculator. Now let's do another 12 using the random digit table. So I have to go through my same steps again. This time when I number from 1 to 162, if I look on my random digit table, I've got to look at, I can't look at like just one number, like 1, 9. I've got to look at 3 digits at a time. So this is really going to be 0, 0, 1 to 162, okay? I still want a sample size of 12, but this time I'm not going to run on the calculator. I'm going to go through my random digit table and look at 3 digits at a time. Oh, I need my starting point. I am going to start on line 101, okay? So there's the line 101. These are line numbers. These are not random numbers, okay? So on the AP test, they'll give you a little snippet, and they'll tell you, start on line 102 and look for your random digits, okay? But we're going to start on line 101. So since I'm dealing with 3-digit numbers here, I got to look 3 digits at a time. So 192, now again, I need to ignore repeats, and any number outside the 001 to 162 range, okay? So 192, that's outside. 239, outside. 503, outside. 405, 756, I'm not hitting anything, am I? 287, oh, here we go, 139. So there's my first random number, okay? So what did I say, 139? Okay. So then let's see, 640, no. 912, that's too big. 531, outside. 425, 448, all of these are outside that 1 to 162. 285, 373, nah. 676, 471, 509, 940. Ah, here we go. 001. Hey, there we go. So there's my second number. Let's try to get a third number. I'm not going to do 12 numbers. It'll take forever. 927, no. 277, 544, 264, 882, 425, 362, 904, 546, 771, 709, 775, 580. Ooh, 009. Okay, here we go. So these are the first 3 of my 12, okay? I'm not doing all 12 because it'll take forever. Okay, so let me go back, figure out who these 3 people are. So number 1 is Adrian Brody. Number 9 is Barbara Streisand. And 139 was, oh, Roberto Benigni. What are the chances of that? Maybe I can spell it right here. Okay, so this is the beginning of my 12-person sample. Okay, but you notice the random digit table, it's going to take a little longer. Okay, but we still have to know how to do this because they're going to put something like this on a multiple choice question for the AP test because they can control the output. They know what your sample is going to be. If you ran on a calculator, they don't know what it's going to be, okay? So this is how I do an SRS using a calculator or a random digit table, okay? All right, let's do a stratified sample. Okay, now remember, a stratified sample is where we divide our students into strata by grade levels, okay? So I'm going to divide my students into grade levels 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th. So I've taken my list of students, and these are all my 9th graders. These are all my 10th graders, 11th graders, and 12th graders, okay? So what I'm going to do, I want a sample of 12, so I'm going to randomly select 3 students from each strata. So I'm going to have to go through this. So for 9th graders, I'm going to use the calculator. I've already numbered all my students. These are all my 9th graders, already numbered from 1 to 46, it looks like. Okay, so I'm going to number from 1 to 46. And I'm going to determine the number of students I need, so I do need 3. So I'm going to select my numbers. I'm going to do my rand int. This time I'm going to go from 1 to 46, and I'm only going to choose 3 because I only want those 3 9th graders. So math, oh, sorry, I'm trying to get rid of that glare. Over to probability, down to rand int. So from 1 to 46, I only want 3. So I am going to get 39, 29, and 10. Okay, so no repeats. Now I go back to my list of 9th graders. And the 10th person is Ernest Borgnine. 29th person is Maximilian Schell. I'm just going to write Max. And the 39th person is Sophia Loren. Okay. Okay, so I've got my 3 9th graders. All right. Let's do the same thing. Let's pick 3 10th graders. Oh, I meant to put my sample on the other page. Let's do my 3 10th graders, but this time we're going to use the random digit table. So again, I got to come back to my random digit table. Still got to number each 10th grader. Let me get my 9th graders out of here. So my 10th graders, I only have 1 through 40. I only have 40 10th graders. So I'm going to do 01 through 40, because now I'm going to look at my random digit table by 2 digits. Determine the number of students I need. I need 3. All right, so let's select our 3 10th graders. Where's my random digit table from before? How many there was? Okay, this time I'm going to start at line, these are my lines. Let's start at line 116. Okay, so I'm going to start at line 116. And again, I'm going to ignore repeats and all numbers outside the 01 to 40 range. So here I am at line 116. So now, since my numbers are 01 to 40, I'm going to look at 2 digits at a time. So, oh, first one is 14. So that's a valid number. I'm going to put them right here. Okay. 45, that's too large. 92 is too large. 60 is too big. 56, too large. 31. So there's my, let me circle that one. 31 is my second person in the sample. 42, too large. 48, too large. And then 3. There we go. Okay, so those are my 3 10th graders. So let me go back to my list of 10th graders and find out who they are. Fold this so I can see. Okay, number 3 is Ben Kingsley. Number 14 is Gregory Peck. And 31 is Olivia de Havilland. Okay, so then these are the 3 people, the 3 students that are going to be in my sample from my sophomores. And then these are the 3 from my 9th graders, okay? Then I would do the same thing for my 11th graders, okay, whether I use the calculator or random digit table. And then I would do the same thing for my seniors, okay? I'm not for the sake of time, but you can practice, okay? So then these if I combined all each group of 3 students from each class, I would have my 12 students for my sample. Okay, so that's a stratified random sample. Okay, let's do a cluster. Now for clusters, we are also going to divide our population into groups, but each group is going to be sort of like a little mini population, or each group is going to be close by proximity, okay? Well, I divided my student body by hallway, okay? Remember I had them organized by hallway? Oops, I got it right here. So these are all the students in hallway A. These are all my students in hallway B, hallway C, and then hallway D. So all I really have to do is select a hallway. I don't have to select individual students. So if I randomly select a hall, all the students in that hall are going to be my sample. Now my sample size is going to be much larger than 12, but that's okay. I'm still going to, this is what would happen with cluster. I'm not sure what my sample size is going to be, okay? So really all I have to do is select a hallway. Well, I can't select A, B, or C on my calculator or on a random digit table, so I have to assign numbers to those. Okay, so using the calculator, I just have to select a random number between 1 and 4. So I can use random int 1, 4, and I'm just going to select one random number. So again, math over to probability, down to rant, so 1 to 4 to 1, and I end up with 4. So for this sample, I got the D hall. Okay, if I use my random digit table, okay, I'm going to number my floors from basically 1 to 4. I'm not going to do any kind of double digits because I don't need to. I can just look at a single number here and pick it. So this is where I've got to pick my line. I'm going to start at line 150. Okay, now remember, I have to ignore any number outside of 1 to 4. So if I get my random digit table here and I look down to line 150, the first number is 0, okay? I don't have a hall numbered 0. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, so that's not going to work. 7 I don't have, 5 I don't have, 1. So 1 is the first one that'll work. So I chose number 1, which would be a hall. Okay, so if I use the calculator or the random digit table, I'm going to get a different hall, but that's okay. Samples, and anytime you take a sample, they're never going to be exactly the same, okay, and that's okay. All right, but that was so much faster. So if I choose this way, I'll use everybody in D hall. If I chose to use random digit table, I would choose everybody in A hall, okay? And then all those students would be my sample, so it would be much larger than 12. Okay, so let's talk about which way, let's talk about, first of all, every time we take a sample, we're going to have different students, whether I do an SRS, a stratify, or a cluster. That's okay. That's called sampling variability or sampling error. That simply means every time you take a different sample, it's going to be different. It's not a bad thing, it's just a thing, okay? Now, which sampling method was the fastest? Well, I think definitely cluster, okay? I think the cluster sampling was the fastest because all I had to do was select a random number between 1 and 4, and then everybody in that hallway was my sample, okay? Which method do you think was faster, using the calculator or random digit table? Well, I think definitely using the calculator, okay? The random digit table, there was so much more I had to ignore, okay? The calculator, I didn't even have any repeats when I ran the calculator, but the random digit table, I had a lot of numbers that were outside the range I was looking at, so that can take a little longer. But you still got to know how to do it for the AP test, okay? Now, which method ensured that my sample had students from every single grade level? Well, the SRS, I didn't look at the grade level, but if I did an SRS, I could have conceivably had a sample of all seniors. So I might not have had freshmen, sophomore, juniors, or everybody from every grade level. I could have had everything except freshmen, okay? So this might lead to undercoverage. Okay, no fault of our own. We used a random sampling method, but if my sample only had 1 or 2 classes in it, I could have had undercoverage, okay? Stratifying, there's no way I could have gotten a sample of all seniors, because when I stratified, I took a few freshmen, a few sophomores, a few juniors, and a few seniors. So this was the one that guaranteed that I had a student from every single grade level. And if that was my concern, I would want to make sure I stratified. Okay, now cluster, some of the halls didn't have all the grades. Some of the halls only had 9th, 10th, and 11th graders. They didn't have any seniors. So this also could have led to under coverage. Okay, so depending on what you want from your sample, you're going to have to determine which method is the best one to do. Okay, sometimes you have to determine your sampling method by time and cost restrictions, okay, in the real world. But choosing your sampling method is all going to depend on what you want from your sample, okay, and what characteristic you want to make sure that all the variations are represented in your sample, okay? Okay, so those were the different types of sampling methods displayed using random digit table and the calculator. So again, the random digit table, you're going to see that on the AP test because they can control the output. They can be able to grade you on your ability to find random numbers. Using your calculator, they won't know what you get, okay? But if you're running anything, you can certainly use your calculator, okay? I think that's it, and just remember that all your samples are going to be a little different, and that's okay. Sampling variability or sampling error is okay. All right, I will see you next time. Bye-bye.